Hey guys, welcome back. So we're here to talk about this little beauty, the Redmi Note 10 Pro from Xiaomi. I also want to give a big thanks to the Mi community who sent me this out to review as well. So this is retailing for $279. They start from $279. So in the UK, I'm guessing it's going to probably be around £280. It's going to start at that sort of price. And first of all, I'm going to jump straight into the cameras. The 108 megapixel sensor, it's a quad camera setup. $280 this phone is starting at. Just remember that. I'm happy overall with the camera performance in video and stills overall. A very good camera for the price. There are plenty of camera features to choose from as well. And at the top, there is the 108 megapixel feature as well. With this, you get large images, sharp, crisp, and overall very good quality. The Note 10 Pro also has a very good macro lens. You know, it's just a macro, but you do get some decent shots with this device. We have an ultra-wide lens built into here as well, and you get a very respectable shots using that as well. There's no telephoto, it's just digital zoom, unfortunately. 2x and 5x zoom is probably just about acceptable. Anything more than that, it gets a little bit unusable. The phone has a really strong portrait mode. It's one of my favorite parts about the phone, portrait. I haven't really noticed any blemishes at all. The pictures are crisp, detailed, great color accuracy, and the bokeh effect separating the background from the foreground of the subject. It's near on perfect. They have a cool clone mode in this device as well. You can also do it on the Mi 11 as well, the clone mode. Playing around with that, you can do it in photo and video. That's a pretty cool feature. And the 16 megapixel selfie camera, that's very good also. You can shoot up to 1080p 30 frames per second on video as well. Okay, so I'm shooting at 1080p 30 frames per second on the front facing camera of the Redmi 10 Pro. I've got it about a foot away from my chest. It's quite cropped in. That is arm's length. I'm quite a long man, so I've got long arms. But if you've got long arms, you can get a nice sort of angle of view like that. Walk through a little bit darker into here. Let me know what you think. Quality looks decent on here.
I turn this way.
Yeah. Switch around to video. This can shoot up to 4K at 30 frames per second. Yes, this is 4K 30 frames per second. Let's just pan around this marina. There's no stabilization in this setting either. There's a tiny bit of jitter. Okay, so that's at 4K 30. Walk around here a little bit. It also does 1080p at 60. Okay, so now we're at 1080p at 60 frames per second. Now when you go into the settings on here, stabilization is actually grayed out. So I'm not sure whether that means stabilization isn't enabled. This does look more stable than the 4K I was shooting earlier. If you walk, see what you think about stabilization. Looks a tiny bit wobbly, but better stabilization than in 4K, which I said. This is 1080p at 60. What a beautiful day as well. Okay, let's try 1080p, 30 frames per second. and 1080p at 30. Now, one thing I did notice with this device is that stabilization is grayed out in 4K 30 and 1080p 60. So it looks to me as if stabilization is only enabled at 1080p 30 frames per second, which is a little bit disappointing. I'd like to have seen it in the 1080p 60 at least, but yeah, it maxes out at 1080p 30 for stabilization. This is 1080p at 30 frames per second. Now in the settings, stabilization isn't grayed out, and it's actually on. So let's do a little walk. 1080p 30 frames per second, and you know what? That is stable. That is really stable. So I think I can confirm stabilization is only active at 1080p 30 frames per second and below. 1080p 60 and 4K 30, there is no stabilization. You can tell in this setting that it is much more stable and smooth. Yeah. Okay. Now if you jump to the steady mode, again, steady mode is only available in 1080p at 30 frames per second, which I don't really think you need, to be honest. The 1080p 30 frames per second with stabilization enabled is good enough without the steady mode. The steady mode, you're going to lose a little bit of quality anyway. So I don't think they've integrated that very well. Okay, so this is a mode called steady mode on the Note 10 Pro. 1080p 30 frames per second. To be honest, I don't think they need it, as there's already stabilization at 1080p 30 frames per second anyway, without the steady mode. Although it does make it super steady, you do lose a tiny bit of quality as well. But overall video quality is very good, and if you're using tripod, you know, when you're shooting in 4K and stuff for more steady shots, then it'll be absolutely perfect. But I think the overall video quality is very good. There is something that I noticed when taking pictures and videos, is a little bit more lens flare than usual on previous smartphones I've used before. Yeah, there's more sort of lens flare on this one. You know, for some of the shots it might look quite artistic, you know, and people actually do try and get that sort of lens flare as well. But I did notice it maybe a bit too often in this device. So let's jump into this sexy display. 120Hz refresh rate, AMOLED, 1080p. Amazing, isn't it? Fantastic viewing angles. When you're using the device, it's so responsive to the touch as well. The screen is excellent, it really is. So one thing I did notice, especially using this at night in bedtime and in the morning when I've just woke up, automatic brightness is on as well. Sometimes reading mode, and there'd be slight little flickers, light changes on the screen, which might have been the automatic brightness maybe adjusting too much or too little, but that seemed to disappear, and I don't normally see that when I'm using it in the daytime. So for power performance, it's powered by the Snapdragon 732 Adreno 618. I did do a gaming video on this, and it absolutely pretty much smashed all the games apart from Fortnite, which is an absolute buggy ass of a game anyway. Fortnite is probably best off leaving it to the high-end sort of smartphones, but it is playable. I did get a couple of kills on there, but performance has been absolutely fine on the Note 10 Pro. Even general browsing and navigating, obviously the 120Hz refresh rate makes it look even better and feels so much better when you're scrolling through social media. There's definitely nothing to moan about for performance on this device, especially starting at $280. And this fingerprint sensor as well is still surprisingly fast, rapid, and accurate. I'd probably say 99.9% of the time it opened first time every time. So getting into your phone quick enough is a doddle. So build quality and design, I did mention something in my unboxing about it being slightly thinner than the Mi 10T Pro. It is slightly thinner, and it does, for me, this feels better holding this than it does the Mi 10T Pro. That's slightly thinner sort of body, more rounded as well. I think build quality is excellent. Although it's a plastic back and it does pick up quite a few fingerprints, it is a beautiful device. 6.67 inch display, Gorilla Glass 5 as well, HDR10 support. It's yeah, it's a beauty, it really is. $280, probably going to be about £280 these start from. So I think design, build quality is excellent, it really is. Closer look at that display. In terms of brightness, the maximum is 1200 nits as well. But look, the display is fantastic. So I checked the loudspeakers out in the unboxing video, which I will link up there as well. There's a firing speaker there at the bottom, and there's also one at the top. You can see the little grill there, but it also comes out of the earpiece there, although it sounds as if it does anyway. It's obviously so close. But yeah, you're getting a dual speaker setup, and the sound quality is excellent. It really is. For a device of this price, the sound quality is very good. Let's turn this up. Wow, really impressed. So the Redmi Note 10 Pro comes with a 5020 milliamp battery, also supports 33 watt fast charging as well, and you also get the block. Now because this can run at 120 Hz or 60 Hz, there's no sort of adaptive sync either, it doesn't change while gaming or doing whatever, it's either or the other. So on 120 Hz, this is the battery consumption I had over a couple of days. So my screen on time, 120 Hz, 7 hours and 58 minutes, and then another day was 7 hours and 38 minutes. So it's quite consistent there. 120 Hz battery life wasn't too bad. I did have to put it on charge, but I also did a couple of days in 60 Hz, and these are the results. 9 hours and 13 minutes on one day, so much better than the 120 Hz, and also got 10 hours and 40 minutes, which I thought was excellent. So there is quite a difference between the 60 and 120, which I'd expect anyway. But overall, I think the Redmi Note 10 Pro delivers good battery life. And that pretty much wraps it up. I mean, it's got MIUI 12 on top of Android 11 as well. Software experience has been okay. I prefer a pure Google stock experience, but I do like the fact that we have the app drawer in there as well now. And also it puts it into little categories as well for you. And there. So yeah, very, very impressed from the Redmi Note 10 Pro. Starting at only $280, a very strong camera, good battery life, an amazing display, 120 Hz, AMOLED display, incredible. 33 watt fast charging as well. Dual speaker setup, which has great audio quality as well. 3.5mm socket for headphones. What more do you want? What more do you want? Let me know in the comments below, what more do you want without inflating the cost? Because I know some people are going to say, oh, it should have a glass back, or you know, it should have a gold plated frame or something like that. But remember, that's going to increase the cost. This is sweet. This is just the sweet spot of smartphones. It's got to be the best smartphone of the year so far. It's affordable for most people. Obviously, I know some people's budgets are different than others. Also, it's got a nice flat bottom there as well, which stands there perfectly, and I don't need anything behind it to prop it up against. Craftsmanship at its best at an affordable price as well. Any comments, pop them down below, please, guys. If you've enjoyed the video, then give the video a thumbs up. Subscribe for more content, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.